Okay, ma'am. Let's start off by you telling me who you are.
I'm Rosa Parks.
Very nice to meet you, Mrs. Parks.
You as well.
Let's start off by you telling us about your life, where you were born, who you lived with, where you grew up at. Tell us a little bit about how the times were back when you were growing up.
Well, I was born February 4th, 1913. I lived with my parents, James Macaulay, Leona Edwards. They separated when I was very young. I moved with my mother, my younger brother Sylvester, on a farm with our grandparents just outside of Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay. And how were the times back then?
Well, when I was young, racism was horrible.
And what do you mean by horrible?
Well, everything was separated, like the bathrooms, the schools, even our water fountains were separated, and ours was always in bad condition.
When you say separated, Mrs. Parks, what do you mean by separated?
Like there was a black school and a white school, a black restroom, a white restroom, and white water fountains and black water fountains.
Oh, my goodness, I see. Where did you go to school at coming up?
I attended a school at Industrial School for Girls.
Okay. And how was that?
Well, I had to walk because I couldn't take the bus because of my race.
I see. And then what happened after then?
I had to attend another school that was white Northerners teaching black children.
So when you say white Northerners teaching black children, you mean white people teaching our black children?
Correct.
I see. How interesting. Okay, Mrs. Parks, continue. Please tell me a little more about you.
Well, I married Raymond Parks in 1932. He was a barber from Montgomery. He was also a proud member of the NAACP.
Oh, okay.
And that was wonderful because I was also a civil rights activist. We believed in standing up for rights for all African Americans as well as rights for all.
I see. And to my knowledge, they call you the mother of movement. Can you explain to me why they call you the mother of movement?
Well, on December 1st, 1955, I was on my way home from a long day of work. I was tired and I didn't feel well. So there were no seats in the back of the bus, so I decided to move to the front.
If I could stop you for just one moment, Mrs. Parks, could you tell us about the rules of the bus when you rode public transportation?
Yes, I may. Well, blacks were supposed to sit in the back of the bus, and whites were supposed to be sitting in the front.
I see. And what were the consequences if blacks sat in the front?
We could be arrested if we went to jail.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Thank you so very much. Please continue.
And a white lady got on the bus and told me to move, and I refused to give my seat up. And then the bus driver, James Blake, told me to move and called me a bunch of N-words.
Oh, wow.
It was horrible.
Wow.
And then I refused again, and he called the police on me.
And how did the officers react to you when they came out to arrest you, Mrs. Parks?
They told me it was the law and they had to follow it, but I was still proud that I still stood up for my rights.
And what happened after then?
Well, I became an icon for the civil rights movement.
Oh, my goodness. Can you explain to me just a little bit more?
Well, how may I say this? I received many awards. I received the Spring Golden Award for Freedom, and it was a wonderful experience.
I can just imagine. And did you travel around speaking and standing up for the rights of African Americans and of all?
Yes, I did.
I see. And did you guys stay in Montgomery, Alabama?
No, we left to New Hampton, Virginia for a new start.
Oh, I see. Okay, Mrs. Parks, can you continue to give me a little more history about you?
Well, in the 1990s, I was also part of the hip-hop world without my consent. And the hip-hop group, Outkast, recorded a song about my story in the hip-hop way, and I was not very happy about that.
I see. They didn't ask for your permission or your consent is what you're saying, correct?
Correct.
I see. And what happened from that, Mrs. Parks?
Well, we settled, and the song was hit one on the Billboard charts for several weeks.
Wow. Okay, and I was told that you had some connection with our former president, Mr. Bill Clinton.
Yes, I was. He presented me the presidential gold medal for freedom, and I was so honored and very happy.
I can just imagine. So, by your decision with the bus and not moving to the back of the bus is one of the reasons why they call you the mother of movement?
Of course.
I see. And could you be just a little bit more detail about the times back then?
When I was young, racism was one of the worst things ever happened to black people because whites were always in control and we never had anything to say. If we did, we would always get arrested for it or get killed by it.
Right, and that's where you came in, Mrs. Parks.
When that bus ride happened, everything changed.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, it has been a pleasure interviewing you, Mrs. Parks. And not just as African Americans, but all, we appreciate you standing up for our rights and making a big dent in history and also making a change so where we have rights, to where we are able to ride the bus on our own free will and not have to sit in the back unless we choose. It has been a pleasure, and this will end our interview. Good day, Mrs. Parks.
Good day to you.